Yo guys, what is up? Max in a Remnant 2 video, and today we're going over my Infinite Havoc Form Invoker Archon build, the Lord of Lightning. Now, this build allows you to stay in Havoc Form 99% of the time. You have Havoc Form up so often that I'm using it as a movement ability just to pop and then blink around. You're able to speed clear maps because Havoc Form makes you really fast. You have it up 100% of the time, and we fry bosses and have ridiculous AoE clear. This is probably the strongest build that I've used in Remnant 2 so far, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get right into it. So I want to give you a quick demonstration of the cooldown of our Havoc Form. This is the Archon's Havoc Form. It allows us to teleport around while blasting AoE with lightning. It hits tons of targets. We can put up a shield if we want, and the form just looks really cool. Now, when it's over, every time that we cast our Invoker skills, we're gonna lop off a ton of our cooldown. And basically how this build works is, because we're in Havoc Form for so long, even if I'm just spamming blink and blinking around and constantly casting our lightnings, by the time we're out of it, we're always gonna have our Invoker skills up. And then whenever we cast our Invoker skills, as you can see, cast it, boom, back into our Havoc Form. We're never ever on cooldown. And when we cast our weapon mods, we're also gonna get cooldown. I'm blinking around, trying to use up this as fast as possible just to show you guys this. But as you can see, I've already got both of my Invoker skills back. We're on cooldown. Boom, boom, back into Havoc Form. And we will always be able to stay in Havoc Form, which not only gives us a lot of damage, but it also gives us a lot of survivability because you can just blink away from bosses. You can fight them from ranged, and just it makes it really easy to dodge all the damage, while also we get a ton of regen. As you can see, Havoc Form down, cast it, back into Havoc Form. It's just silly. So the key things to make this work are: one, you need to have the Invoker with the Prime perk, which doubles our base skill charges for all archetypes, and the skill activation reduces all skill cooldowns by 10%. So right now, my Archon form, or my Havoc form, I'm gonna keep calling it Archon form, my Havoc form has a 25-second cooldown, and we get 2 charges of it. And anytime that we cast this, which is on a 33-second cooldown, but it's gonna basically always be up because it's gonna be recharging while we're in Havoc form, we can lop off the cooldown of Havoc Form. Also, by being an Invoker, we're going to get 30% increased skill damage, 15% elemental damage, and our skill and elemental crit chances increased by 5%. As you can note, this is all things that help benefit Archon and the Havoc Form. We're also going to get the Communion, which reduces skill cooldowns by 1% and heals 2% max health once every 3 seconds for allies while an Invoker skill is active. This is going to constantly be giving us cooldown and heals while we're in Havoc Form. It's important to get as much healing as we can because while we're in Havoc Form, we can't use a relic. So we're going to want to be having lots of heals, which we'll talk about in a second. With Mind and Body, we get increased movement speed and damage while an Invoker skill is active, more movement speed in our form, and more damage. And the Soothsayer, when we use a relic, we get extended duration. We're not really using this. And the skill we're going to be using on Invoker is the Way of Kayula for even more AoE and lightning damage. This thing ability hits really hard. And then obviously with Archon, we get mod and skill casting speed by 50%. 50% is an increase to our Havoc Form. We've got mod damage and 10% mod crit chance. Don't really care too much about that. Power creep after we cast a mod. We get regeneration. We also get more mod power generation. Spirit Within reduces mod power requirements, and using a relic grants us mod power. But we're mainly here for the Havoc Form. Now, the other thing that we're pairing with this, because we're going to be doing our Lightning and our Havoc Form so often, is we want more forms of passive damage. So the 2 ways that I've got that is I've got the Nebula. The Nebula is going to send out these Seeking Acid corrosive wisp that will hit things. So this is just going to be active while we're in Havoc Form, doing its own damage. And the other source of AoE damage, just passive while we're in Havoc Form, is going to be the Heat Wave. Heat Wave does a massive AoE around us that stays active for a really long time while we're also just in Havoc Form. So now we've got Lightning, we've got Fire, we've got Corrosive, and it's just going to be blinking around, or while we're blinking around, we've just got a Fire aura on us, which is so cool. But we're also pairing with the Sparkfire, the Spellweaver mod, which whenever we activate it, we're going to get 1% of our skill cooldown for 100 mod power spent. The Heat Wave is 630, so we've got 20% cooldowns just from casting this, and another 26 or another 6% from just our Spellweaver mod on our Sparkfire. So we've got a lot of ways to give ourselves tons of cooldown, which allows us to do lots of damage while we're blinking around in Havoc form. For our rings and amulet setup, the goal is to get our cooldown as low as possible. So the legacy protocol is best in slot for like general use. It's going to reduce our skill cooldowns by 20% and increase our skill durations by 15%. With the burden of the Stargazer, we're going to reduce skill cooldowns by 15% and activating a skill costs 15% health. We are going to be using the Tranquil Heart on this build, which gives us 2 health regen per second, and we're also going to be using Regrowth, which gives us 1.5 health regen per second, with Triage, which gives us 50% increased healing. So, as you can see, when I cast a skill, my health is going to go down, but I basically heal it back up instantly. And this is really important because if we're going to be in Havoc form all the time, we need passive healing. If we do take a hit, we're not going to want to stop Havoc form to like eat a relic. So by wearing the Tranquil Heart and also getting the passive healing from the Summoner and Medic rank 10 traits, we're able to stay in Havoc form and tank hits while we're in like higher difficulties, or if we do get hit. Once again, it's pretty easy to not get hit because we're blinking around, but we're also able to wear heavier armor. You could wear as heavy armor as you want because we're in Havoc form all the time, and Havoc form doesn't seem to be affected by like the like stamina stuff, that you can just wear as heavy as tanky armor as you want. I kind of like the looks of the Disciple mixed with the Leto Mark II set right now, so that's what I'm rocking. A little bit of a armor plus like good fashion. We're also going to be rocking the Burden of the Destroyer, which increases all damage dealt by 15%. Once again, we're not going to be shooting our weapons on this build, so 15% more damage. The Kinetic Cycle Stone gives us 20% increased cast speed. Once again, that directly scales the damage of Havoc form. And we're also going to be wearing the Black Pawn Stamp, which reduces the cooldown of our skills by 10%. Once again, we really want Havoc form to have the lowest cooldown possible. Now, one thing to note is if you do want to do like a little bit more damage for bossing, because bossing, you'll probably be able to kill bosses in 1 to 2 Havoc forms. You can wear the Jester's Belt. This is the best in slot damage perk. Once again, it's going to give us 35% increased cast speed, which is massive, but whenever we activate a mod or skill, we're also going to get 15% increased damage. So when I activate, let's say we activate a mod, activate a skill, now our Havoc form is up to 1,736 shock damage per second, which is pretty freaking sick. We can do this, cast this skill, cast our Havoc form, and then start blasting. And you'll see that our DPS goes over 2,000 DPS per second. Once again, this isn't the highest damage build, but it's like incredibly comfortable because, once again, we hit so many things on screen, and we're able to do, we just got up to 2,600 DPS. Nice. We're able to stay so survivable because we can just avoid almost all damage in Havoc form. So yeah, if you want to do some higher damage, the Jester Belt, just note that we're going up almost 20 seconds in Havoc form by taking off the Legacy Protocol. So this is really huge for those cooldowns. On our Tranquil Heart, I'm wearing Elemental Damage Increase, Skill Cooldown, and also the Mod and Skill Cast Speed. I don't have these like fully upgraded, but the Mod and Skill Cast Speed, once again, is a big damage increase. Almost 15% increased cast speed is huge. For our traits, I don't have every trait in the game. I have 10 trait points available right now that just like don't really like need to be on anything. But the big, really important ones are obviously Flashcaster and the Gifted from the Archon and the Invoker. Make sure that we're grabbing Regrowth for the health regen, Triage for the healing, Vigor for more health. We don't really care about stamina because it doesn't affect us in Havoc form. Spirit for more mod generation, and Expertise for cooldowns are really, really nice, as well as grabbing Amplitude for the 50% AoE size for our abilities and our mods. Bark Skin so that we get 10% DR while we're in Havoc form is really nice. And then I also grabbed the Ritualist's Affliction that gives us 10% increased status effect duration. We're doing lots of status effects, and it is a decent bit of our damage from our mods, so more duration on that is actually pretty nice. And then the last 10 points here, I'd probably put into, if I had Engineer fully leveled, the increased armor, because we are able to wear some pretty beefy armor because we're just in Havoc form all the time. So getting even more DR while in Havoc form would be really nice. That is going to do it for the build video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Take care. Peace.